persuna li jista' jkollu soluzzjoni għal kwistjoni tal-enerġija għal dal-pajjiż. Magħna fl-istudio Henrik Fleischer wara r-riklami. Mr. Henrik Fleischer, thank you for coming to Reporter. A short visit to Malta, and I took the opportunity to invite you into the studio. You represent a company which is presently looking at proposing, discussing a very interesting concept for energy in Malta. First of all, tell me something about your company and about your background, to start with very briefly.
Well, you know, some 9 years ago, we were some business people and technical experts who decided to look into the future of clean energy, simply because we thought that carbon would be an issue for the future. And we have spent 9 years essentially making a perfect solution out of burning fossil fuels without emissions. And that has become very, very, shall we say, actual in the last few years, where people are really concerned about man-made climate change.
I've obviously had the chance to look at some of the things you have been doing. And if I understand right, your company basically sells a technology where you use fossil fuels, oil, etc., right? But one thing is different. The emissions, gases are non-existent. Why is this such an issue? Why is, apart from the fact that it's obvious that emissions have a negative impact, but why is it so important for a country like Malta to control its emissions?
Well, I believe firstly we should concur that the future energy picture consists of several sources of energy. They are renewable, like wind and solar, but also fossil fuel. Fossil fuel is a thing also for the future, whether we like it or not, simply because of the availability, but also about the cost. Renewable energy is very, very expensive, which has not come out recently because they have been subsidized.
When we talk about renewable energy, we're talking about solar, photovoltaic,
and wind power.
And wind energy,
right.
and wave energy.
Right.
This is renewable energy.
That's right. But the reality is that most of our countries around in Europe and elsewhere cannot afford to switch to those energy sources, which is why we need to burn fossil fuel. But we also need to clean up the environment. And so our technology, which we license out, will take care of 95% of all of those emissions. We clean them out so that they do not go to the atmosphere. And
sorry, I'm stopping you, but what is more interesting also for a small country like Malta is that at a certain date in the future, countries, members of the European Union,
yes,
will have to pay
absolutely
for the amount of emissions they emit.
Every consumer will get an amount on his electricity bill, which is the amount of emissions which we let out to the atmosphere. So if we continue to let out carbon dioxide, we have to pay for it. Every consumer have to pay for it. That is what we are avoiding.
Now, you have been in discussions, you have made a proposal to the Maltese government, I believe also to Ena Malta. You have been in serious discussions with them, and you've come out with a blueprint, an idea that they can take up. What exactly have you been proposing?
Well, we are very, very happy that we have had an excellent dialogue with Ena Malta for quite some time, and the proposal is simply to build a power plant in Delimara, which is floating, which comes built elsewhere, which is 95% cleaned up. It means 95% of all the emissions will be removed. It burns a mixture of oil products, coal and biomass, and in such a way that the costs of that cleanup operation is absolutely minimal. We are the global leader in low-cost clean energy made by fossil fuel, and that is what we have proposed. I'm very happy that we have that great dialogue. Ena Malta has shown great interest, and we have also presented it to the government.
What will this change? I mean, now I'm going to look at it from a little bit as a Maltese, not only as a journalist. Yeah. What will this change in terms of, for Malta, what will it change? Will it simply mean more money for your company, Sargas? Will it mean, what will it change for the Maltese in terms of our energy bill, in terms of the global positive, the blue rather than the red in our accounts bill?
Well, the first thing it will change, it will strongly reduce the energy bill for every citizen, for every business in this country, because we are about to reduce the cost of electricity with these emissions inside. Number two, it will make you look very good inside the EU, because you now have a power plant without emissions. So the costs are absolutely at the minimum, much less than today's costs, much less. And we are talking dramatic reduction of the electricity bill for everyone who pays for electricity in this country, and all the emissions will be away.
When you talk to me about a drastic decrease in the electricity bill, what are you talking about?
Well, I think we are going to go about half of what they are today. And certainly there will be less than half of the future electricity bill, because, like I said, 2013 onwards, you have to pay for those emissions. And there will be no emissions to pay for with this system. Isn't it fantastic?
EU demands that the payment for emissions is per ton.
Yes.
Per ton.
Yes.
What does this look like? I mean, does this look like? I mean, pundits or rather observers say that this will also increase as we get along, and most of the countries will not have reached their targets.
Well, today the prognosis cost per ton is about 15 euros of ton carbon dioxide, which may grow to above or around 40 euros per ton CO2. So if you continue firing oil as you do in this country, you are going to have to pay 40 euros per ton of carbon in the future.
Floating power plant,
yes.
What is the cost for something like that for the government of Malta?
The whole proposal we have made to government for the power plant, for the connections, for the fuel plant, for the storage of fuel, it's around €1 billion, €1 billion. And we have proposed last year, when we took up this contract, to finance all of this in such a way that Malta would not have to put the money on the table, but that is made by our associates, our contractors. In other words, we would build it and own it and lease out the product, which is the electricity. And one fine day in the future, if the government wants to own the plant, they may use their option to acquire ownership.
Where have you been successful with this kind of blueprint, with this project?
Well, we are quite successful in several parts of the world. The first plant is most likely to see light in America, in the US Gulf, because the carbon which is coming out of this plant, which we are cleaning out rather than letting it go, is being used in the oil industry. So that will be the first plant. And we are also having great, shall we say, traction in the Middle East and also now in the Far East, in fact, and some of the European plants. But in Europe, things are sometimes slower than in other parts of the world. There
is another issue with regards to power plants, with regards to the residues, to the waste which comes. Once you burn oil, you also have ash. You have a number of things which come with it.
Yes.
This is intrinsically a big problem in Malta because of our small size and also because of the proximity of the power plant to residential areas. What will be the problem with this new power plant?
Well, I mean, we are, if you will look at the statistics of our tests that we have made, there are no emissions. There is no dust and there is no ash coming out. We clean it out. We take the ash out on the bottom of the boiler rather than letting it go to the atmosphere. And that ash we are going to sell, or you will sell, or the Maltese industry can sell to mix up in concrete, and it goes into fixing up the roads. It's not a problem at all. We're fixing it.
When you've come to discuss with Ena Malta, and you've looked at the reactions at Ena Malta, what have been their main questions with regards to that? Have they been skeptical about your technology?
Well, I mean, they've done their job. They've been very skeptical, and they have certainly asked us several hundred questions. We're very delighted with the kind of feedback and process we've had with them. We've had full seminars, questions and answers again and again, and they have turned us upside down and really looked at it from all angles.
Last question is about Henrik Fleischer. I realize that you also have a long relationship with Malta.
Yes.
Tell me something about that as we end this program.
Well, I'm coming from the marine industry in various forms of the maritime industry, such as the shipyards. My company has represented the Maltese shipyards in Scandinavia in the past, starting in the 1960s, before my time. I took that over in 1989, and I believe I was in Malta 89 for the first time, and I like it very much here. And apart from
liking the sun and the sea and maybe sometimes sometimes the people,
yes.
You also expressed while we were talking before the program that the potential Malta had or has with regards to building ships, something which many people in Malta do not believe in or have lost hope in. No. Why is that?
We have several ships in Norway, where I come from, which have been built here, and which is some of the business we did, and it has done tremendously well. Malta is the perfect place for shipbuilding and ship repair. And
why is it the perfect place?
Because the location of the traffic, if you are a ship owner and you park your ship for repair, you don't want to sail for 20 days to reach that shipyard. Here, you just go in and plan that you are stopping by, and the next day you can go into the Suez Canal and down to the Far East. So from a location point of view, it's perfect. From a quality perspective, it's perfect, because here, people do quality work. It's been a great pleasure to see it, sometimes too good, because, you know, you can't be overdoing it, but both from a location and from a quality aspect, I think it's excellent.
Henrik Fleischer, it was a pleasure talking to you. I hope our viewers follow this brief interview, and thank you for the positive comments. We're not usually adorned with such
you deserve them.
with such positive comments.
Thank you. I
wish you good luck in your project.
Thank you for having me.